I have a 2016 Chevy Colorado with the 2.5 liter engine that has 172,000 miles on it here in Phoenix, Arizona. So I've got a hose that has failed and it swelled up rather profusely. Trying to trace back as to what caused the problem and how to repair it. I was able to replace or pull out the actual water coolant collector that's located at the back of that engine right below the vacuum pump, which sits right back there on the housing through the valve cover, that creates the vacuum for your power brakes. What happened? What caused this? It looks like lots of oil has impregnated the actual tubing, which should look like this on the new one. When this vacuum pump failed, these teeth that go into the teeth of the cam, when those break off, they fall down into that spot right down there and kind of chew up the area. What then happens on the valve cover is the seal gets chewed apart as well, which then causes the oil to drip down vertically onto the actual what do they call it? The actual thermostat bypass tube. It runs up right along there. And when that happens, all the water, you will lose all your water rather quickly. To get that out, however, is a bit of a challenge as it's located behind right there. So you got to pull off the plenum, which then is mounted right there. And this material is an adhesive that if you get a couple of flat blade screwdrivers, you're able to lift that off. I've removed the reservoir as well as the heat shield for the exhaust manifold to allow access, where I could then kneel rather gingerly on top to be able to gain access to the back. To access those two 10mm bolts, I used a extension 10mm socket with a 1/4 drive. That's all the room that you have back there. To clean off the valve cover gasket, I used a rather small blade screwdriver as the material was rather brittle. It would not come out rather easily. So the challenge was to get that tubing right there. That's the new piece. That's the old piece. I've released that where you can see where the raceway is, where the tubing comes up to the radiator to go in. So to get this out, I was able to pull it out this way after releasing that clamp with this, and then was able to release that coming up by undoing the heater core intake right there. I have replaced both of those previously, as well as the T that has broken, as they're plastic parts here in Arizona. Putting everything back together, you need a new thermostat bypass housing gasket that goes right down there, as well as obviously replacing the tubing, which is this piece right here, and they give you a new temperature sensor right there. So I'll be putting on the new piece first and threading it through, and then a new piece right there before installing it onto the new housing back here and clamping it on with the hose clamp. When you're working on this, you want to make sure that the radiator overflow port does not get broken off, or else you will be replacing the radiator, which I've had to do before on account of the shop that I took it to that replaced this, because the teeth had broken off. Broke that off and tried to JB weld it back. It will not JB weld. So be very careful. I've attached some zip ties right here to remind myself of what the chore that was. Anyway, hope that helps anybody working on that. Give me some feedback.